Hey guys, what's up? For this DIY, you'll need a hot glue gun and stick or tape, 20 gauge wire, wire cutters, a hand needle and thread, a headband, about 1/4 of fabric, and optionally interfacing. You will cut 3 pieces of fabric. One that is 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, one that is 5 inches by 18 inches, and one that is 5 inches by 13 inches. So for your fabric, I would go with like a middleweight or even a heavyweight fabric. If you don't have that, you can just use some interfacing on the back, or you can just cut out the same piece twice and stack them right on top of each other, and then you can sew all the way around the edge, making sure to stay within 1/4 of the seam line. Take your smallest piece and fold it in half with the wrong sides together. Then you're going to sew across this edge here using a 1/4 seam allowance. So now you want to move this seam here to the middle. So you're going to kind of finagle it to the middle. It doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, but you don't want the seam allowance hanging over the edge like that. You want it in the middle. And then you're going to press this down. After you've pressed it, you're going to fold it in half with the seam on the outside, and then sew this edge here using a 1/4 seam allowance. Now flip this right side out, and you have your knot to your bow. Cut 2 pieces of wire, one that is 26 inches long and one that's 36 inches long. Take one of the pieces of wire and bring the ends together, overlapping them 2 inches. Now to connect them together, you can use tape or you can use hot glue. Then you're going to repeat that for the other piece of wire. Here's my wire with the hot glue on here. I made sure to try to get it on the end so they don't poke my fabric. With your 13-inch strip, you're going to fold it in half, right sides together. And then you're going to sew across this edge here using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then you're going to do the same to the 18-inch strip, except you're going to leave an opening in the center right here. Now you might want to leave an opening a little bit bigger than this. This is a little tight, but I will be able to manage just fine. And be sure to back stitch at both ends of your opening. I'm going to create a little slant on the ends of my tails. Now if you're going to do this, you're going to go up about 1/2 inch and keep the short side of the slant on the sewn edge. Draw a line straight towards the end. Now fold it in half with what you marked on top and line everything up so you can just cut this in one go. Now you're going to take this back to the sewing machine and sew up these ends using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Be sure to clip your corners without clipping into your stitching. Flip this piece and your 13-inch strip right side out. After you turn it right side out, you're going to want to press both of your pieces. Working with your 13-inch strip with the open ends, you're going to take the shorter piece of wire. Now you want to keep the glue kind of in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the middle. It can actually be off to the side, but you don't want it to be towards the end. Now for the ends, I kind of take my 2 fingers and pull so it doesn't come to a complete point. It's almost like it's boxed out. If you want, you can make your corners very sharp, but I feel like that's not necessary. Now after that, you're going to insert your wire into your strip, fold your strip in half, and sew across this edge using a 1/4 seam allowance. As you're sewing, make sure you fill the wire so you don't sew over it. If you need to, you can push it and bend it over just so you don't sew on it, but it should be short enough that it won't catch in that 1/4 seam allowance. After you sew it, turn it right side out. Might be a little weird because there's wire in there, but if you need to, bend it back out however it needs to be. Now this is going to be the center of your bow where your seam is. So you kind of want to stretch it out, figure out where the middle is, and then press the middle right down to where that seam is. And this is going to be your bow. Take your other piece that is going to be the tails of your bow and that longer piece of wire, and you're going to basically do the same thing where you want this somewhere in the middle but not too close to the edges, and then you'll insert it into your opening. Now since my opening's pretty tight, I'm going to have to squeeze this a little bit more, but once it's back inside I should be able to open it a little bit like that and get it back into this kind of shape. Now you can hand sew your opening closed. You can do a little whip stitch if you have a pretty small opening like I do, or an invisible stitch if you have a wider opening, if you're afraid that it might show or something like that. But since this is towards the back, it's not that big of a deal, even if the whip stitch hangs out on the edge of the knot a little bit. To assemble everything, all you have to do is scrunch one side of your bow up and be mindful of the wire, and then stick it into your knot. Push the knot to the center, and then just make sure your wires are all situated. To adjust my bow, I kind of push the wires apart and pull the ends. Just do it however you want your bow to look. Take one of the ends of your tail and insert it into the knot right underneath the bow, again being mindful of how the wire is situated. After your bow and your tails are in your knot, then you can just take a headband and slide it right underneath everything. And after it's on your headband, then you just mold your bow and your tails however you would like. You can have your bows up like this, or you can tilt your bow forward. Just move it around however you would like. All right, and then you're done. And so I just wanted to thank the person who requested that I make this tutorial, because I really love this bow. It was a little frustrating at first to figure out how to make it, but once I did, it was super easy, and I just want to say thank you. All right, till next time, bye.